Hello YouTube and welcome back to Let's Play Dungeon Defenders. In this episode we will encounter our first boss, which I guess is kind of a spoiler alert, but not really. Especially if you've already seen my apprentice walkthrough, which, again, isn't exactly complete. But yeah, we're still on the Squire. This should be a pretty easy level, even though there's a boss. It doesn't usually pose much trouble. We're going to use a strategy that I still haven't come up with a name for. There was the strategy I talked about in the apprentice video called containment, where you just put all the towers in front of the doors, like right there, just to make sure that the enemies are contained near their doors and the boss area is clear so that you have room to attack the boss and stuff. But because I'm a builder and not a fighter, I don't have the strength to just take them on my own. So I need my defenses. But if I just focus my defenses solely on the boss, well, that's actually kind of what I'm doing. I don't know. Oh wait, that's right. I left the backside open. But I can just check my mini-map to see when enemies are coming that way, and then just deal with them myself. While I do need to get rid of all these enemies, of course, I do want to focus my attacks or my defenses on the boss. So I don't want to put towers like way off to the side or way over there in front of me, because the boss is going to appear right here in this little spot where I'm standing. So I don't want to put my defenses over here, even if they're facing the door, and can kill the enemies, because I need everything facing the boss. Or at least as much as I can. So I should, yeah, okay, nothing coming in the back. Another reason why I love the Squire so much is because, as you might have noticed, the enemies occasionally have an elemental affinity. So if they have like a fire type, then fire type towers can't affect them. So the apprentice is kind of limited on what towers he can use, but on the other hand, he also has to use all of his towers, kind of. I mean, at least two. Because if he were to use all fire, then the fire enemies would get through. If he used all lightning, the lightning enemies would get through. But if he uses both, then he can defeat all of them, or if he uses the magic missile towers, then he can defeat all of them. But anyways, the harpoon turret does not have any elemental affinity, so it does the same amount of damage to every enemy, and it can attack every enemy. So that way I just have a multi-purpose single tower that can destroy everything, rather than have to worry about using a bunch of different towers to cover my weaknesses. And really, I am just putting all my towers here, just to make sure that I can get the boss quickly and take down any enemies that come in front of me. However, I still forgot to put towers behind me, so there's going to be some enemies coming back there. Also, you may have noticed now that the goblins are orange, and they have that little carrot above them. And that is because, like in the Foundries and Forges, it was on the final round that the enemies started getting a bit stronger. However, in this map, it's the second round where the enemies start getting stronger. And the goblins are really my main concern right now, as far as me personally running around. And the archers aren't that big a problem because they don't have as much health. But the goblins do take a lot more hits to kill. And the archers are still really annoying because of their whole archerness. And I realized that this whole little wave, I'm just back here fighting a few enemies while my harpoon turrets are taking out a whole bunch of them. So that would have been a little more interesting to watch. But unfortunately, I had to focus on the ones in the back. Alright, now the first thing I'm going to do is place some harpoon turrets that way, which is a little lame because then these harpoon turrets obviously aren't doing anything for the boss. But, it's good enough. I mean, I've got a bunch more on this side taking care of the boss, which hopefully should go down pretty quickly. Because the boss can attack turrets and will prioritize you over the turrets, I think. But it fortunately cannot attack the crystal. Even if its attacks go right through the crystal, it's not going to do any damage. So that's always nice to make sure that your crystal is safe. Alright, and those two harpoon turrets should be plenty to take care of any enemies that come that way. Just collecting all the mana, because I really want to get as many turrets as I can. And then once I've maxed out my defense units, I will start upgrading them all. Alright. A little closer. Don't want to put it too close, even though I'm putting it too close, because there will be kobolds, and they will blow up, you know, a lot. Alright, so that's good for now. Now I can just upgrade. Now I get to just stand back and watch all the mayhem. Alright, so as you can see, these are a lot of harpoon turrets, and the boss does have quite a bit of health. And I'm sure that I could beat him with less harpoon turrets, but I really want to destroy him and just dominate real quick, because I don't want to give him any chance to fight back. Otherwise it could turn into a very long episode of me trying to attack him with my sword, and because he can fly, that wouldn't go very well. And obviously I don't want to die myself, because then I would gain less experience points and I would be losing the mana, and these harpoon turrets are just awesome. Because they pierce right through all my enemies, and I'm pretty sure that they can kill them all in like one hit, so that's good. Just gotta remember to upgrade them to make sure that they are killing them in one hit, or two, I guess, because of the orcs. The orcs are kind of like the tanks of the enemy team. They take a lot of damage and deal quite a bit of damage, but they're pretty slow. I think the goblins are faster, but the goblins are pretty slow too. The goblins are kind of like cannon fodder, like they're just kind of sent out there to die pretty much. But of course in this level, the goblins do have a bit more health, so I think they actually, I don't know if they have more health than the orcs, but they're pretty up there. They have more health than the archers for sure, I think. I don't really need to upgrade the spike blockade because they're not really going to be attacking it very much. So now the spike blockade is less, its job is less about taking damage and more about just getting in the way to make them stop while the harpoon turrets have enough time to shoot them. And unfortunately I don't have enough range to get those kobolds very efficiently, because they light their fuses and start running while they're still out of range of the harpoon turret. So even if I was to shoot them down, they would still explode, and because they're so close to the spike blockade, it's pretty likely that they would still get the spike blockade. But because the spike blockades aren't getting that much damage, or aren't taking that much damage from the enemies during the wave normally, I don't have to worry too much about the kobolds breaking them, because they've still got plenty of health. Alright, and I'm going to upgrade these in the back just for safety, because I do not want any sneaking in that way, because that would be a bit annoying or frustrating. Alright, if only there was like one button to just collect all the mana, but unfortunately there is not. Or at least not that I know of. Pretty sure I would know of that by now. And I feel fairly confident in my knowledge and experience of this game. Like, I have put in quite a few hours. I think over 300 hours playing this game. So that's kind of a lot. I know that there's plenty of people who've put in like 1,000 hours or something. But I've only had this game for almost a year. I mean, a couple months less than a year, but only a few months. So yeah, I very much enjoy this game. It's probably my second favorite tower defense game, my first favorite being Bloons Tower Defense, but as an overall game, considering it's not 100% tower defense, I guess, it's a very different tower defense. I would definitely say it's my favorite of its genre, because it is quite a unique genre. One thing I like about Bloons Tower Defense more than this is that there's a lot more variety in the enemies and the towers, I guess. Because in Bloons Tower Defense, it's a lot less on how much damage you do based on health, and a lot more based on pretty much like how good your attack rate is, like how many enemies you can hit, if that makes sense. I'm not entirely sure how to describe it, but there's just a difference that I enjoy better than pretty much all other tower defenses. But this one is good too. It definitely has its strengths. It does have a good variety of enemies and towers. And the maps, of course, are great, except for like 3 or 4 that I don't like, just because of their asymmetricalness. And this one too, it does have a bit of asymmetry, I guess, depending on how you look at it. Because if you look at it, it's symmetrical across the x-axis, I think. If you flip it over the x-axis, it's the same thing. But the distribution of the enemies is a little bit off, because there's a whole bunch coming in this way, but then barely any coming in the back. But if you just ignore the back, then, you know, you're going to get overrun. So that makes it a little to me. I'm not going to say that it's a bad design, because I'm sure it's still great, it has its strengths and everything, but just on that level of wanting everything to be even, it does, I guess you could say, fall short, but I don't want to like say that it's a bad stage, because it's really not a bad stage. It's just it feels a little odd with that distribution of how there's so many coming in from the front and then not that many coming in from the back. It would be nice, it would be easier if all the enemies came from one direction. Not the band, but if all the enemies came from one side of the map, and then you could just set up your defenses to only defend that one side. It would make the game a little easier, but obviously this gives it a little bit more challenge of having to distribute a couple of your towers to the backside rather than the front. So it's a good idea. It's just appropriately frustrating, I guess. The best way I would describe that. Yeah. So I just need to upgrade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more towers. So that's 1,400 mana. I think I could probably do that in this last round. And then, of course, the boss does not come necessarily on the last wave, it comes after the last wave. You'll see how it works when it happens. Always gotta watch out for those kobolds before making a mana run, which is what I call what I just did, where I kind of just run in there to get some mana. But I'm glad I can just kind of ignore the back, and apparently nothing's going wrong yet. But of course, as soon as I say that, that's like the enemy's cue to start breaking in the back, and that was a bad idea. Yeah, the back's doing pretty good. Surprised the archers haven't been attacking my crystal from far away or anything. I just realized that there's a chest. Oh, and this is also the first wave with a Dark Elf Mage. Those purple guys with the staff. They are very frustrating. Probably more frustrating than the archers, because they have a long-range fireball attack, they can heal their allies, and they summon skeletons that only truly die when you kill the mage, because the Dark Elf Mage can summon up to 3 skeleton minions, and their minions, they're pretty easy to kill, but until the mage is dead, the mage is still able to resurrect them and continuously bring them back. And because the mage always stays, behind, the minions, sometimes the minion will be within range of an attack or of a turret, and it'll get killed really quickly, but then the mage, out of range of the attack, will just stay back and resurrect them continuously, and you need to go in there and kill the mage yourself, pretty much. Now, there is a stage later on that is probably my least favorite stage, because of one little thing, where I'm sure it's not a bug, I'm sure there's a way around it, but in one of the later stages, there's an area where a bunch of Dark Elf mages come, and there are so many mages, and they make so many skeletons, that I don't know why they just constantly build up and just clog that little area and then destroy through my towers, and it's just really frustrating, because I haven't figured out the best way to defeat that. So, yeah, I'll definitely let you know when that area comes up. And the boss is arriving in about 12 seconds. So I shall wait. And if only I could skip this. Kind of skip this little countdown, because I've got all my defenses ready. There's literally nothing else I could do to increase my defenses. So let's see how well this happens, or how quickly I defeat him. Those are important. The Tesla spikes, you can kill them pretty much, or damage them, and then when they're dead, I guess, they release an electrical charge at the boss that stuns him and does a lot of damage. Although I do not need them, because my harpoon turrets were boss or beast, or good. So that's awesome. And let's see how much I level up. Level up to 14. That's nice. So yeah, level up everything to 9, which is always nice. Then I did get items when you... I should sell these. Lock item... Let's see... Need that... Need that, because obviously these items have way too much stats. And I could always get them again if I really felt the need to get them. But I do not need all of these epic stats. So I do keep that one. That one is good. Wait. And I can just sell the rest. Alright. Wait. Okay, for a second I thought I sold it. The Demonic Training Blade is the weapon that drops for the Squire, or 2 other classes, or 4 other classes actually, maybe 5, I don't know. The Demonic Training Blade is a good weapon compared to what I have right now. It does swing slower than most other swords. Man, this is a little one. They come in varying sizes, but this one's a little small. Let's see, oops. It gives me 5 running speed, 4 tower health, 1 tower attack rate, and 2 tower range. And then of course more attack. So it's pretty good. Increases my movement speed, which is always nice, and increases my defenses stats and stuff. Alright, so once you defeat a boss, it gives you a weapon and an armor piece, but I never really care about the armor piece. And there's a bunch of equipment out there that I'm sure would be nice to have, but as you can see I took down that boss quite quickly, so I don't really need it. Oh, that one increases movement speed. I don't care if it gives me negative armor. Movement speed is always nice. Let's see if anything else gives me movement speed. Nope, but this one does give me defense attack, which, I mean, I was just saying I don't need these, but I'm still going after them, because now I realize that there could be some movement speed in these. But, alright, that's it. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.